The book of Hebrews is all about faith. It defines faith as the reality of things that we hope for and the evidence of things we cannot see. Oftentimes we can fall complacent in our faith, believing that if something is God's will, then there is no need for us to do anything for it. Because if it's His will, then it will be done. In other words, if God wants you to have something, He will bring it to you. While in some scenarios this could be true, faith almost always requires us to contend for God's will to be done. In 2 Kings, a man called Naaman, who was the commander of the king's army, was sick with leprosy. His servant recommended that he go to the king so that he would be healed. So Naaman went to the king and brought a large gift of silver and gold in hopes that the king would be pleased enough to heal him. Little did Naaman know, the king did not have the resources or the power for this to be done. The prophet Elisha heard about his leprosy and commanded him to cleanse himself 7 times in the water, and after that he would be healed. Naaman became angry and frustrated with this request. He knew that God had the power to heal him, but after seeking healing with no results, it seemed as though he had lost his faith. Even though Elisha gave him the solution, there was no substance of Naaman's faith because he was unwilling to cleanse himself in the water. After some convincing, he finally did it and he was healed right in that moment. The truth is that it was God's will for him to be healed, but it still required him to contend for it. We can look at so many examples of this. God wanted to split the sea for the Israelites, but He also called Moses to raise his staff. God wanted the walls of Jericho to fall down, but it still required them to march. God's will is for our city to be revived, but we have to contend for these things to happen. He wants you to have a vibrant marriage, but you have to show up and love even when it's hard. God's will was that the sins of the world would be forgiven, but He still sent Jesus to take the punishment that we deserved. Church, do you still have faith that God wants to do these things? If so, where is the substance of your faith? How are you contending for God's will to be done? The substance is in our prayer life. It's in our words. It's in our actions. It's one thing to say that we have faith, but it's another to show up and contend for it.